we need to make a new layer because I didn't do that for you on this one. So we're going to make a new layer here so we can do our work. Okay, so text is easy. There's a text tool right here, type tool they call it. And if you just click, you can start typing. But I think it's probably almost always better to drag out a text box. And then you can type within there. You can really sort of place it much more precisely that way and do other things and center, right? So we can type in our text. And then we can do a lot of things with they call it type here, don't they? Type. And there's all sorts of different parts to type, including the character, which is the font, and all the other stuff, which we'll look at. These are sort of your alignments. And that is, I haven't really used. So here we go. We can change the size. We can change the font to whatever you want. I'm going to use Gotham because it's always good. But you probably, no, forget it. Let's use this one because I think you probably have that. You can change the sort of font quality here, regular, bold, or whatever the options are for the font. So let's try to make it look like this. What is this? Is that close to the size? No. Ah, perfect. Look at that. Look at that. Perfect. Okay, so that's easy. Let's do it again. Now, text 1. This looks bold to me. So let's make it bold. Hey, that's easy. All right. Now the trick here is, look, if we want to have this, so, all right. So if you want to do it, text here too, you could do another, oh, that's too fast, sorry. You could do another text box, obviously, and do a separate text box. Text 2, and place it this way. But what I wanted to show you instead was, if they're in the same text box, here's how you can sort of adjust the space between things, which can make things look really good. So we've got our text. First, let's center it. That's easy, center, right? We can center things. Now, if we wanted to sort of keep going in the next line, I just double click to keep editing the text. Text 2. It's a default for the space between the text. So what if you want to change this space? Let's put it up here. This space, or the space between the letters, which looks great in graphic design. That's these tools here. So it's really not that hard. You can reduce it here. And you can do the space between the letters here and say we wanted to just sort of increase the space here. Right? It goes very slowly, or you can pick the big numbers. Do it like that. The color is the same. You can choose any color that you want. You can even give it a stroke to text. Be good if you chose a color. Let's see. Right? That's super ugly. That's what I want, right? So that's how you can sort of adjust those things. But I promise you, if you really look, you'll notice spacing between text all the time. And it can look really, really good. Okay, so here's some text effects. Let's try these. Here's a simple one using just layers. So we're just making a T. We're increasing the size to what? Let's say 300. Not too big. Okay, 200. Close enough, right? And so we can just do another layer. Pop this into another layer. We can make this gray. We can make this red. And we can have a cool shadow effect like that. Right? There's one. Okay, here's an even easier one. I'll just copy it. Copy, paste. And watch this. There's some effects here. Look, effects. There's a lot. There's some crazy things you can do, but here's an easy one and a good one. Drop shadow. Look, it'll put a drop shadow under it. That's an easy one. There's options here if you want. Okay, next. Text on a path. So you can do some interesting things like this. And what you need to do here is you need a path to follow. And so you define that however you want. It could be a circle. Similarly, it could also be you want. Let's say these two. Let's try two. This is always a little fiddly for me, so let's just see how it goes. Okay, so let's do it. Type on a path is here, right? Okay, so I'm gonna turn it into stroke. Makes it easier for me to visualize. Okay, so all you do is you just click on a path. Come on, man. There we go. Where you, I don't know. Basically, if you just sort of use the selection tool, there's these little handles, and you can sort of move things. And I don't really know the logic. I'm sure there's a great logic to it. I don't know it, but you just sort of tweak the handles until you get it how you want it. Right? I bet there's a better way to explain it, but there you go. But similarly, you can do that on any path that you want. Text on a path. Right? There we go. What's next? These are easy. Okay. Yeah, these are really easy. Okay, so this is just a dashed line. So this is just a stroke. There's some stroke effects that we can do. So if we kind of try to trace this path, curves like these I think are the hardest. Oh yeah, so we're gonna do dashed line and arrowheads. Okay, so we've got our path here, right? These are easy too. So this is all in the stroke window. This window always pops up. It's a big problem. A lot of people have complained about. It's not you. It's not you're not doing anything wrong. Okay, so with this selected, you can do a dashed line, and that's pretty easy, right? Change the color, but you can do all of these other things. You can change. You can still change the line weight. You can change the distance between the dash. Be really precise. Or, sorry, the distance of the dash and the distance of the gap. You know, you can do whatever you want. There's also arrowhead options, and one is for the beginning of it, and one is for the end of it. The arrowhead, you don't have too much choice of control. Maybe you do now, but a lot of it is related to the line weight. So that's how you do that. This is this. So this is a bit tricky, but it's not tricky. It's just like a clever use of it. So look, this is a dashed line, but instead of there's no dash, right? So here's what we're going to do. We're sort of saying we want 0 dash, and we want whatever gap we want, and then we're also going to say let's round it out. So look, that gives us this, where you can see how we're starting to get a starburst. We're going to round it out. If, say, this was 12, it would have those rounded edges. But since we get rid of any of that, it becomes a dotted line, which can be it can look really great. We can change the size of the dots there, but you can do some great borders and things like that, right? Okay, good. Next. All right. So this is a lot of ways you could do this. I wanted to show you an easy way. This is you could do the alignment and distribute. You could just do straight lines, right? Copy and paste and align. But I wanted to show you something else. Okay. So we could do that. You can do some interesting things with this, with the blend mode, whatever. So if we copy and paste, and we've got sort of our two things here, right? We can, copy, paste, get all of those things in there if we want to, and align and distribute and make it all neat. But you can also blend between these two in a lot of different ways. So watch. If we go to Object, Blend, Options, there's a lot of things you can do. And this could be great. Specified steps. And you tell it how many steps. Watch. So here's what we do. So this is the blend tool. And you click on one thing and then the other thing. And it does what you just told it to do, right? So that's 8 steps. I'll undo. I'll do blend options. Let's make it 30 steps. Tool, click on one, click on the other, and it's 30 steps. There we go. So you can do interesting things like that. Make patterns if you use layers cleverly. Say you wanted a color behind it. Oops. So you can make patterns that way, etc. Okay, so we can do the same thing here. This is the same method. This is, oops. Okay, this is just, it's not just a straight line, it's this thing. So we get one, click, control click to deselect. Let's do another one, or let's copy and paste it. Let's make it even easier. Right, so we've got these. We'll make sure that they're aligned. So we'll just make sure they're like that, right? And maybe we'll make it a bit thicker. And then the same thing, blend. And there's 30 steps in between. So you can shift that however you want, but this is a good way to make patterns. Okay, one more, we're almost there. This is great. Sunbursts. There used to be another way to make sunbursts, but this seems to be the way to do it now. All right, let's work off to the side. The way to do sunbursts now is dotted. It's a dashed line. So we start off with an ellipse. We make our circle, whatever it is, and then we make it a dashed line. And watch, here's what we do. We just make the line weight super big, right? That's how we're going to do our sunburst. And we can change the sort of qualities of it by changing these qualities, right? 12, 12, or let's say 40, 10, right? You can do whatever you want this way. And you can keep going here, and it'll extend up and out. And at a certain point, it starts to get a little weird. But you can go pretty far, right? And usually a sunburst is behind something anyway. So this part is usually covered up. Okay, what about that? Let's do 20. So there we have that. And you can change, it's just weirdly still a stroke, but that's what it is. So you can change the color here. Let's make a bluish one. Right, and the rest of it is just a shape on the other layer, on the layer below it. So I'll make a circle. There it is. And that's kind of a sunburst. So I just did two kind of fancy effects here. I put a little sun there, which is just a white circle. And then I did a gradient, which I'll show you. And look, oops. And all of these things. Okay, now let's do a gradient. So this, here's the gradient tool. We got to go to the gradient window. I'm sure there's an easier way. I've never been a big fan of the gradient tool. But anyway, here's what you do. So, okay, so here's how you can kind of control it, although I bet there's an easier way to do it. So here's sort of the gradient, and this has got these 5 colors defined, but you can sort of tweak the gradient this way, right? You can shift it like that. You can also rotate it and place it. And each of these you can put whatever color you want. And I find this not useful at all, but you can't get very precise with it, in my opinion. So anyway, there we go. We've got our disgusting sunburst there. Let's make it a little better by making it yellow at least. It's a little better. Okay, there you go.